Hi, my name is Parthiv Shah and I am with elaunchers.com and EGKIC Maryland, home to Dan Kennedy and Glacier Kennedy insider circles in Germantown, Maryland. Today I'm here to talk about my book, Business Kamasutra. Before this book, let me take a minute to talk about my journey with Dan Kennedy. It all started with me getting this one book, No BS Direct Marketing. I read it, fell in love with the concepts and the strategies, and I started following Dan Kennedy. Several years later, I find myself immersed in, not immersed, I find myself submerged in information I learned from Dan Kennedy. For recording this video, I was looking for some binders. I have here Dan Kennedy Lifetime of Work. I got mailboxes, mailbox millions. I just started counting. How many binders do I actually have? How many information products do I own? I stopped counting after 65, 70. I have an entire bookshelf tower of CDs and DVDs that were shipped to me from GKIC and from other speakers who speaks at GKIC events. I've been an astute student of Dan Kennedy for years. And in this book, I distilled everything I know and wrote it down into one workflow, one formula, one process. Name of the book is Business Kamasutra. It draws parallels between how humans meet, date, and mate, and how companies prospect, pitch, and close. When I sent this book to Dan Kennedy and requested him to write me a foreword, I did not know what to expect. When I got a 3-page fax, I knew I had something beautiful that I had to share with the world. So, let's talk about Business Kamasutra. In my opinion, there are 7 steps of a relationship in business and in sex. Let's talk about sex. How does it work? You don't want to mate the wrong person, right? Because if you mate the wrong person, winning will be insignificant and losing will be embarrassing. So, you want to know who you are for. How do you want to please them? Do they want to be pleased that way? How do they want to be pleased? Are you okay with the paycheck that comes by pleasing them that way? That is a classic market segmentation. In India, we have horoscope. In US, we have eHarmony or Match.com and other services. But the bottom line is, it is data intelligence and database-driven matchmaking. If you can do database-driven matchmaking between you and your ideal prospect, you will know exactly who you want to go after. Once you know who you are after, you are going to organize, orchestrate, and execute your approach. If the approach goes well, you're going to get a consent. Now, here's something interesting about consent. You're not going to get a consent for mating, you're going to get consent for dating. Therefore, your message should focus on your dating ritual and not on your mating ritual. When you get consent, you need to acknowledge consent immediately. You have to express gratitude for consent immediately. And you have to take them to the next step of the relationship immediately. If you don't, the consent will either get watered down or maybe negated. Therefore, you got to act when they are ready. Now, what do I mean by act? They're not ready to mate, they're just ready to date. So you need to establish trust and elevate trust. In my opinion, trust is a very mathematical thing. You can establish trust by sharing information that they don't have, but they could use. You can elevate trust by listening to what they are saying understanding what they want, and then give them the information that they are asking for, when they are asking for, in the form they are asking for. That is going to start a two-way dialogue. Intensity of that two-way dialogue will eventually elevate your levels of trust to a level of trust monetization. I call it both parties are now ready to mate. So now what do? Before you mate, go ahead and engage in some foreplay. Here's why. When you add pleasure to the relationship, they would want to mate more often, and most important, when they are ready to talk about you to their peers and their experience with you, they're not going to care about your segmentation or approach or consent. They might talk about what you do, but they're really going to be dramatic and very explanatory about how you made them feel. Them being happy is at least as important as what you do for them. So you need to make a conscious effort to manage the levels of pleasure in your relationship with your clients and your prospects. Now that both parties are ready to mate and everyone's happy, go ahead and mate, deliver your product, take care of them, and then ask for a permission to transform that relationship from one night stand into a lifelong relationship. What you do to lead up to the initial transaction and how well you did your segmentation is really going to determine the prognosis of the relationship post first transaction. So if you want to transform a relationship from one night stand into a lifelong journey together, do the other 7 steps right. Now, if you do slipshod segmentation, be ready to mate with whoever is willing to mate with you, and don't do the rest of the relationship management right. Yeah, you will get some transactions, yes, you will get some one night stands, but it will be difficult to transform a relationship into something that you can depend on for years to come. Go ahead and share your name, email, and phone number. On the next page, you will be able to get a PDF copy of this book that goes into this concept in much greater detail. I will also show you how you can get my business Kamasutra benchmark campaign in Infusionsoft. Why would we need Infusionsoft? Well, the whole segmentation approach, consent, dating and mating and foreplay is easy when you have to do it one at a time. Your company has to do it over and over and over with multiple prospects, multiple clients at the same time. What I'm asking for is probably very difficult for you to do, maybe impossible. Infusionsoft can automate this entire 7-step workflow so you can focus on segmentation, foreplay, and mating, and let Infusionsoft automatically manage the process of acquiring consent, acknowledging consent, building trust, elevating levels of trust, and making them happy. On the next page, I'll show you how you can get your hands on my Business Kamasutra campaign blueprint, and I'll tell you how you can get a copy of my Infusionsoft campaign from my campaign builder into your Infusionsoft app. I am an Infusionsoft ICP, so you can, if you don't have Infusionsoft, we can go ahead and get an Infusionsoft for you, and we can implement this entire workflow in your application. Let's start our journey together. Give me your name, email, and phone number, and start reading this book today. Thank you very much. This is Parthiv Shah from elaunches.com.